We've got a quorum. All right. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting for the City of Alameda. Tonight is Tuesday, January 21, 2025, and we are about to go into closed session. So I would like to start with the roll call, and I'll ask our City Clerk, Laura Weisinger, to please call the roll.
Councilmember Staysog?
Here.
Jensen?
Here.
Pryor?
Here.
Mayor Ezzy Ashcraft?
Here.
For present, and hopefully Councilmember Bowler will be home
Okay,
shortly.
have we heard from him?
Shortly.
have we heard-
Hopefully, no, I haven't.
Okay,
but-
it's just
Yeah.
right on the dot, so that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay, so we have one consent calendar item. This is routine, will be approved by one motion unless removed by a council member. Madam Clerk, could you introduce item 2A for us, please?
Yes, so this one is designating the negotiators for item 4A, which is Pacific Fusion.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve
Move
the,
approval.
and who wants to second?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Jensen, seconded by Vice Mayor Pryor. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
It's okay, I got it. Okay, so there are no opposed and no abstentions.
Great.
That passes. And Madam Clerk, would you, do we have any public comment?
We do.
Okay.
Courtney Richardson.
Welcome. Hello. Come on up to the microphone and make it yours. Bring it to the height you need it, and welcome.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, council members, staff. My name is Courtney Richardson. I'm the infrastructure lead at Pacific Fusion. And for the past couple months, I've had the opportunity to meet several members of the community. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for your consideration.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you guys catch all that, or should I?
Well, it might not get recorded, but just from now on, speak into the microphone. Go ahead.
Gotcha. But I just want to take a moment to say thank you for your time and consideration to date, and we really look forward to your feedback. That's all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Any further public comment on closed session, Madam Clerk?
No, there's none.
Okay, with that, we will close public comment on closed session. And before we adjourn into closed session, I will ask the city clerk to please introduce the items that we will consider.
Great. Item 4A is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property is Building 530, 390 West Orange-County Avenue, area bounded by West Pacific Avenue, Orion Street and Viking Street, West Ticonderoga Avenue, and Central Avenue. The city negotiators are the city manager, base reuse and economic development director, base reuse manager, assistant city attorney, and Ted Anderson from Cushman and Wakefield. The negotiating parties are the City of Alameda and Pacific Fusion. Under negotiation are price and terms of sale. 4B is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The city negotiators are the city manager, human resources director, and deputy city attorney. The employee organizations are the Alameda City Employee Association, Alameda Police Managers Association, Alameda Police Officers Association, Alameda Police Officers Association non-sworn, Electric Utility Professionals Association, International Brotherhood of Electric Workers, and Management and Confidential Employees Association. Under negotiation are salaries, employee benefits, and terms of employment. Item 4C is public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The position evaluated is the city attorney, Eben Chen.
Thank you. All right, so we are going to take the items in that order. So could I first have everyone associated with item 4A come on back with the council? All right, thank you. And to any members of the public who are watching, we'll be back by 7 p.m. Thank you. If James is ready, we're all ready. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting. This is the Alameda City Council. Tonight is January 21st, 2025, and the council has just come back from closed session, and I would ask the clerk to help me please report out on closed session items.
Of course. Regarding 4A, which was conference with real property negotiators with the negotiating party Pacific Fusion, staff provided information and council provided direction by 5 ayes. And then regarding 4B, which was conference with labor negotiators, staff provided information and no vote was taken. And regarding 4C, I think public employee performance evaluation, you have that one.
I'll take it from here. So on item 4C, which was public employee performance evaluation, and the position evaluated was City Attorney Eben Shen, the council discussed the performance review process, but no vote was taken. And with that, we will adjourn the closed session, and I will call the regular city council meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I've asked our new, or newish, it's her second meeting, Vice Mayor Michelle Pryor to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Pryor. Any agenda changes, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
None that I know of either. And we have no proclamations or special orders today. So with that, we will move on to oral communication and item 4, and this is where we take 15 minutes at the top of the agenda where speakers can address the council in regard to any item that is not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, you'll have a chance to speak then, but also over which the council has jurisdiction. We take 15 minutes now, and you either get 2 or 3 minutes depending on how many speakers there are. And if there's still speakers who didn't get a chance to speak, we have another opportunity at the end of the regular agenda. So Madam Clerk, speakers under oral communication, please.
We have none.
None. All right, then we will go on to our consent calendar. And these are routine items that can be approved by one motion unless council members remove items for discussion. Any removed items will be heard after we finish our regular agenda item. And first, let me see if there are any consent calendar agenda items that council wants to pull. Any pulls from consent? I'm doing my bobblehead thing. I don't see any. So then any council questions on remaining items? Seeing, hearing none. Any public comment on consent calendar, Madam Clerk?
We have one, remote. Todd Hickman.
All right. Welcome, Speaker Hickman.
Yes, we have some glaring inconsistencies on 5E. We have building 114, which is being torn down, and the city is denying that there is any CEQA compliance required. This is another blatant disregard for the facts. CEQA compliance is required. At the minimum, this requires a certificate of approval. Another major issue with what's going on this street is it appears the city is planning on creating a parking lot where building 114 was located. And as we know, they're planning on building a building where there once was a historic parking lot, or is a historic parking lot. So this represents the layers of absurdity with the city of Alameda and their basic disregard for CEQA and all the associated laws and regulations, as well as the core principles of the transfer from the Navy and the principles of businesses, contributing property tax and sales tax to the point. So this also underscores and highlights the importance of taking streets and areas as a whole and not utilizing piecemeal, I repeat, piecemeal processes to take a street and create a parking lot where there was a building and a building where there was a parking lot. This entire street should have been taken as one project, and then we wouldn't have such absurdities taking place. This is the historic district. I repeat, the historic district And it's very important to keep buildings where there were buildings and historic parking lots where there were historic parking lots. And again, the city continues to claim that there is no compliance with CEQA required. And this is particularly ironic considering the city of Alameda does not even have lead agency authority. Since 1984, the city of Alameda has been out of compliance as the lead agency, and hence every single CEQA determination and decision made by the city of Alameda is null and void. So once this becomes known fact, it's going to be great news for everybody that's ever suffered in the city of Alameda related to CEQA compliance and the city bulldozing people's rights, neighborhoods, and everything else when they should have done CEQA compliance and taken steps to ensure that everybody's CEQA rights and the environment was taken care of and properly addressed. So we do have something to look forward to when all these facts come out.
Thank you, and your time is up. Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
That was our only speaker.
All right, with that, we will close public comment on the consent calendar. And I am looking for a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
All right, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Pryor, seconded by Councilmember Daysog. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. All right, that motion passes unanimously. So then, with that vote, I'm sure you noticed that one of the things that you approved was the, which number was it, Madam Clerk?
It's 5C.
5C. I'm very excited to announce that we have new Open Government Commission members, and so they are actually here with us today. Well, some of them are here. I think 2 of the 3 are here today. My appointee, Alan Harris, wasn't able to make it this evening, but the city clerk will swear him in on Monday. But in the meantime, I think the city clerk wants to call Zach Bowling and Evan Gomez-Schwartz, who are the appointees of Michelle Pryor is Mr. Bowling, and Greg Bowler's appointee is Mr. Gomez-Schwartz. Welcome, and the city clerk will administer the oath of office.
You'll both raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter? I do. All right. Zach, will you sign here?
And while you're signing, we just want you to thank you for volunteering your service, or for saying yes to the request.
And this one's for you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So then moving on, we have no item 6 continued agenda items, so we go right into our regular agenda. It's actually singular item. And the city clerk, I'll ask the city clerk to introduce the item, and the staff who are presenting can make their way forward. But the clerk and I have decided that this is a very meaty item that looks like it needs more than the 10 minutes we normally allocate. So what I would like from the council is a motion. We have to have 4 affirmative votes to extend the staff speaking time from 10 minutes. I would suggest we give them 20 minutes.
I'll move 20 minutes for
Wonderful.
the presentation.
Motion by Councilmember Jensen to increase the staff speaking time to 20 minutes has been seconded by Councilmember Bowler. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Go ahead, please, Madam Clerk, and introduce the item. And come on up, Mr. Ty, or whomever is presenting.
Recommendation to endorse the concept designs for the estuary adaptation project to the Bay Farm Island adaptation project, and to accept a status update on the sub-regional adaptation plan. This project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act under CEQA guidelines 15262.
Welcome. You wanna
Good
introduce
evening, Madam
yourself?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council. Alan Ty, Planning, Building, Transportation Director. And tonight I'm pleased to introduce to you the staff who will be giving this presentation, which is really an update on the three very important sea level rise adaptation projects that we've been undertaking for 4 years now. And so I would like to introduce Gail Payne, our Senior Adaptation Project Manager. Joined with her tonight is also Danielle Mealer, our Sustainability and Resilience Manager. And we also have our team of expert consultants who has contributed immensely to this effort. And we have some of them in-house here tonight, as well as online remotely.
Nice.
So with that, I would like to turn this over to Gail.
All right. Welcome, Ms. Payne. Come on up. Hi.
Thank you, Alan, and good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Gail Payne. I'm a project manager for the Sea Level Rise Adaptation Projects. And tonight, I'm actually speaking on behalf of a larger group. It's the Oakland Alameda Adaptation Committee. We have a sweet acronym called OAK. And we are asking you, the City Council, to endorse the concept designs for two different ADAPT projects, the Estuary Project and the Bay Farm Island project. So that's the purpose of the agenda. We also have just a quick update on the Subregional Adaptation Plan. And this is who we are. We formed in 2021, and we as a city of Alameda have led this from the very beginning. One of the co-chairs is the city's Danielle Mealer, and we formed to coordinate flood and adaptation projects with co-benefits of water quality, habitat equity, transportation, and community resilience. As these co-benefits, we also move forward with the sea level rise adaptation projects. We are so very fortunate to have an awesome group of people, and so we are set up for success. We call ourselves the project partners. These three columns here on the left are the agency partners. In the middle are the paid community partners. They're actually local nonprofit organizations, and the contract came to you back when we started 2023, and so they're part of the team, and CASA is leading the outreach effort in Alameda. The community partners are leading the outreach effort in general. We also have participation from REAP Climate Center. And then to the right, we have our subject matter experts, and these are the consultants led by CMG Landscape Architecture. We have Julia Price, Corbett Belcher, and Jamie Phillips here from CMG. We also, I think we'll have Dr. Chris May from Pathways Climate Institute in time, and she's an Alameda resident. And we also have folks who are part of the team, the consultant team, remote, both from Moffitt and Nickel, as well as Schaff and Wheeler. And since fall of 2023, we have been fortunate to work on funded projects. They're all in the planning phase. And the first is our Oakland Alameda Subregional Adaptation Plan. We'll give a short status update later. The purpose of this agenda item are our two projects, the Estuary Project in orange and the Bay Farm Island project in green. The main hazard we're addressing is sea level rise. These projects are near-term projects, and that's on the left side. They're accommodating up to 2 feet of sea level rise with additional 2 feet for uncertainty, which brings us to an elevation of 14 feet. And then for the long-term projects, would ideally build on these near-term projects and protect us even more to 17 feet. We're really looking at combined flooding. It's not only sea level rise that we're showing on the left, but also precipitation issues. We're having those bigger storms. And then all that exacerbates the groundwater, the rising groundwater. And so with that, these concept designs at the bottom have the treatments, the shoreline treatments of seawalls, levees, and redevelopment at higher elevations. And then for the inland treatments, we want to store more water so the water isn't flooding our neighborhoods and our homes, adjacent properties. And so with that, the best treatments are these green and gray detention basins. And some examples, upper left, that's Foster City. That's an example of a levee and seawall with a bay trail. And then upper middle is an example of a green detention basin, and that's actually in Alameda behind Target. And so there's, especially the green detention basin, that's a best practice treatment because you can also enhance a habitat while creating spots for the water to go. And now onward for the estuary project, I'll be describing the concept design here. Keep in mind that the project area is not only on the Alameda side. We are just asking you to endorse tonight the concept design for the Alameda side only. However, this project area is both Oakland and Alameda parts of sides of the estuary. We share the estuary, and what we do impacts each other. The reason why this is a high priority project is this is a particularly low-lying areas around the tube entrances and exit. And so that's what the blue shows. And it's also low-lying around the shoreline there, and that's what the red and orange shows. So that's why we picked this area. It's in the climate plan as a high priority project, and that's why we're pursuing it. Just for your reference, on the Oakland side, the low-lying area are really by their proposed estuary park and the Lake Merritt Channel. And then these two next slides are the actual concept designs. And we are starting from the west going east, so that's the right part of the slide to the left part of the slide, starting at Bowhole Circle Immigrant Park with a seawall, and that's at Mariner Square Drive, where there's already an existing seawall, and so it's a real constrained space. So that's why we're recommending a seawall there. It is more expensive than a levee, so the seawall is in the blue there. And so we would prefer to do a levee, yet because of the constrained space, we are recommending a seawall there. And then it transitions to a levee where we start to have more space, and that's around the Extended Stay America to Shipways. And with Shipways, we're hoping or expecting that new development, and as we travel east, it's a combination of new development and levees as it ties into the Marina Village Shoreline Park. And just different ways of seeing this concept. This is what the seawall would look like at Mariner Square Drive. It's a new seawall on the water side of the existing wall and higher than what's there now at the 14-foot elevation. This is what a levee would look like. If you see how wide that is, that's 46 feet wide. That's why in some places we just don't have that width, and you see the Bay Trail is up on top, allowing for that public access. And this is, just imagine you're at the Extended Stay Hotel looking west at the floating homes. This is just opportunities for both inland habitat plantings as well as intertidal habitat plantings. And then lastly, we have, when there are redevelopment projects, we have the proposed fill. We show on the left side, the person on the left could actually still have a bay view with those elevated grades that are possible, and then there's opportunities for added space for habitat on the water side. So those are the shoreline treatments for the estuary project that we're recommending now for the inland treatments. The CMG team analyzed the north side drainage basin, and the city's storm drain system is designed for 10-year storms, like most cities. And what we're wanting to do is bolster that. When there are these bigger atmospheric rivers, we want to have a place to store water. So the water drains in this whole drainage area north towards the estuary, and that's also part where the tubes are. So the tubes, around the tubes, those are our highest priorities on where to put the detention basins. And so this just shows that potential locations for detention basins, with our highest priorities being these linear areas by the tube, especially the Posey tube area, where that's going to be our first priority. And So this is just one example of how it looks. There is an EPA grant due in April, and we are considering targeting this space and another one just north of there. The two parks that are listed, Gene Sweeney Park and Neptune Park, those are going to need more community input with more detailed community, detailed concept design. And lastly, before we get to Bay Farm Island, we are fortunate that President Biden did late last year, include the estuary project as part of the Water Resources Development Act for $30 million. That's both for the Oakland side and the Alameda side. So that is something that we are going to be doing this year, is working on the appropriations with our federal lobbyists. And as our mayor said, our U.S. senators, they're well positioned to help us achieve that. So that's where we are. Unfortunately, our Caltrans grant does end next month, and so we are funded, or we are no longer funded. We finished as of tonight the concept design, and seeking funding as our next step. Now for the Bay Farm Island adaptation project's concept design. The project area is not only Bay Farm Island, it's also the north field of the airport, as well as Caltrans State Route 61 Doolittle Drive. The waters are commingled here. The blue shows the low-lying areas, and the goal is to get this whole area out of the floodplain. So we're really looking at flooding here. And trying to get them out of the floodplain. That is our highest priority. And this is the project area. We're looking for you to endorse the concept design west of the Bay Farm Island Bridge along this northern shoreline of Bay Farm Island. And note that we're trying to address erosion. That's what the orange fencing is showing. And then to the right, we're showing on Veterans Court the flooding that's happening. So we're also trying, those are the priorities. And this is what the concept is: nature-based solutions to address the erosion with rock and wood groins, as well as feeder beaches. And then to the right or east of there is a levee between the lagoon to Veterans Court, and the Bay Trail would be on top of that levee. And then the lagoon would also have upgrades, new tide gate, pump station, and gravity pipe with marsh expansion at Veterans Court. And I'll just run through that a little bit, different ways of looking at it. So this is the levee with the Bay Trail. And the upper image shows marsh expansion. That's ideally what we'd want. This California sea blight is unique actually to Bay Farm Island. So it's a high priority, unique species to this area that we want to enhance. And this is another view. It shows the nature-based solutions. The right side shows the gravel berm and the rock there, and that helps reduce the force of the waves as they come in, so that will help reduce erosion. And then the pump station and tide gate, right now that's all on the bay side. The consultants are recommending moving it to the lagoon side, and so it just would help provide an opportunity for a public overlook and other public access amenities. And then lastly, we have the Veterans Court. We would add in the levee that takes up more space. So we're shortening the Veterans Court to Veterans Park, still allowing for 20 to 25 parking spaces, and also expanding the marsh and enhancing the habitat. So it's a great solution there. This is a flood reduction project. It's not a transportation project, which is why the wooden bike pedestrian bridge is not in there. And the consultants did a great job analyzing it, though. It's just we ran out of money for our FEMA Brook grant, capped them out at $50 million. But we do have some ideas on how to move forward, and that can happen with Public Works, our transportation division, and East Bay Regional Park District. And which the first two are the ones that look most promising, either another bridge or an undercrossing and we looked into it. Boulder, this is a beautiful one in Boulder, Colorado. I think they have like 80, and so they're quite successful. And then lastly, what we're asking you to endorse tonight is actually the concept design on the Bay Farm Island, which is numbers 2, 3, and 5 of this larger FEMA grant that we went after about this time last year. And it also includes the Port of Oakland and the City of Oakland. And the reason why we did this is the waters are all commingled, so we have to address the problem all at the same time, multi-jurisdictional effort. And FEMA considers a priority area as the airport and East Oakland. So we just attached ourselves to that, and it only requires a 10% non-federal match. This project is being recommended for further review by FEMA, so that's what we'll be doing this year, is working with FEMA or Cal OES to secure those funds. And so that's the last slide I have on this Bay Farm Island project, and just a quick status update then on the plan, and then we can open it up for discussion. So for the plan, you may have been hearing that BCDC now, because it is actually a state requirement, and BCDC did pass this Regional Shoreline Adaptation Plan guidelines, also known as RSAP guidelines, and we are required to meet them by 2034. And so we are coordinating with BCDC. Unfortunately, our small 840,000 plan that we're doing now, we have 2 grants, will not be able to comply with the newly approved BCDC guidelines. And so we just went after an additional money, SB1 grant for $1.5 million. It does not require a local match. Plus, the port recently got a Caltrans grant for $3 million to do more work on the Oakland and the port side, East Oakland and West Oakland. So when we cobble that all together, the idea is that ultimately we will get a plan approved by BCDC. And we are in strategy development now. We hope the idea is to go public with some strategies later this year, probably mid this year, and come to you with another update, potentially a request for approval towards the end of the year. And with that, that concludes the presentation. Oh, this is the governance, that's always exciting, is that this is part of the plan. We did an analysis, we have a great sub-consultant who looked into how to proceed, and we really zeroed in after a bunch of interviews with our project partners on having a lead agency with project-specific MOUs for each project. And so that's where we're focusing in. We don't expect to get to a JPA, and that is in the long-term potential for maybe in the future, but we really plan on sticking with this project-specific MOU type of template. The one that's in process now, we have Cara Silver at the City Attorney's Office leading it. With the other agencies, we already have a draft term sheet, so they're doing a great job at it. And then once we get that finalized, we'll work on this next one for the estuary project is the plan. And with that, we are ready for your questions and discussions. Thank you so much.
Look at that, with 1 minute and 15 seconds to go. Council, before we open this to public comment, this is not time for council comment or deliberation, but simply any clarifying questions that we have for staff on this staff report. Any clarifying questions? Let's start with, on my left with Councilmember Daysog.
Yes, clarifying questions. Regarding nature-based approaches, have you did you have discussions regarding nature-based solutions, perhaps on the estuary where Pasta Pelican starts and just a little beyond Oakmont? Granted, we'll have to protect Oakmont, but because there does seem to be a lot of space between the water and I think that's Cardinal Point, is that? So did you contemplate nature-based solutions there? in another area of nature-based solutions, did you contemplate or have discussions about those kind of approaches to the Veterans Court area? Because, and including perhaps like where the tennis courts are, the Harbor Bay Club. Granted, we're talking, many, many decades, okay, so please, let's not get all, but because those just seem to be open areas, so.
Yes. So first of all, we do have some of our subject matter experts remote. I don't know if they can.
Let's call them in. Who would you like to answer that question?
Dilip Trivedi is, there's several. I just wanted just to see if we could line them up, and we'll start responding, but.
So are they on the,
They should be.
Do you want them all put in case they have to answer anything, or just put them in when they need to be?
why
That's
don't
what
you start with the one, maybe?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yes, and so when I went through the presentation, I did simplify a little bit because it is a constrained space, yet there are opportunities for nature-based solutions in the constrained space. And maybe you'll have more to say
Sure.
about it.
At Cardinal
Please
Point.
introduce yourself first.
Hello.
Thank you.
My name's Jamie Phillips. I'm a principal of CMG Landscape Architecture, leading different portions of the project. The question about Cardinal Point, in that location, there's an existing seawall there today. And, to make it taller, our colleague Dilip Trivedi has recommended that we build the seawall to the outside of it. We are hoping to do living seawalls there. There's a pilot project happening now at San Francisco Waterfront Resilience Program that we're hoping to copy on that seawall. And the second question about Veterans Court.
So, and when I mean nature-based
Yeah.
solutions, actually another way I'm really trying to say is just surrendering certain parts to the oncoming water.
Yes, I think the Bay Farm Island project area has a little bit more space
The
to
Veterans
back up a little bit because more of that area is already a park. And I would say on the estuary side, where there are places where there aren't buildings like right against the edge, we're planning to move back a little, make more room for habitat on the water side and the land side. And then later, when we get into the bigger sub-regional adaptation plan, that's looking longer term, which gives us kind of more time to plan for redevelopment.
Thank you.
Other clarifying questions, Council Vice Mayor?
Madam Mayor?
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry to
Oh,
interrupt.
do
One
we-
of the one of the
Yes.
consultants that's online raised his hand, so
Yes.
maybe if we want to let
Okay,
him.
sure. Subject matter experts are always welcome. Okay, who do we
He
have?
raised his hand, so let's see if he wanted to comment further on it. I'm promoting him to be a panelist, so we can show him on the screen, and he'll be here in a second.
Okay, and who is this again?
Chris Gillard? Okay, Giard. Chris Giard, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I just got promoted to answer this question, and I think Jamie answered it perfectly, so I'm going to leave.
There we go, sorry.
Nothing to add?
Okay. Move on,
Okay.
sorry, thank you.
Okay, well, at least now we know how to do the drill. Okay, so did I see nothing for you for now? Did I see your hand go up? Vice Mayor Pryor.
Yes, I have a question about the Bay Farm Island part. With all the designs are to mitigate the impact of erosion, is it still going to be like a floodplain, or is it and are these, is it just going to mitigate, I guess, damage from floods? I guess I just wanted some clarification on the impact of it being a flood zone.
Chris for this one? Okay. We'll go back to getting Chris. Oops.
And we elected you, Chris Giard, to answer this one.
Okay.
I don't know if you're
He might not
there.
hear you. When it takes a second to make them a panelist, it like kind of goes,
And
so he
Ms.
might not
Payne,
hear for a
tell me
second.
the last name so I can get it. in my-
Giard.
Giard.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Chris Giard with CMG Landscape Architecture, representing the Oak team, supporting the whole Oak program. And yes, the answer to that question is that it will address the current FEMA floodplain, as well as 2 feet of sea level rise and 2 feet of freeboard, which is the uncertainty factor that Gail outlined. And the idea there is that that will provide protection for the communities that are currently impacted by flood risk. It will require, however, participation by the Port of Oakland and the City of Oakland to address the Doolittle area in order to actually receive a FEMA certification that the Alameda portion of the area that's impacted by current flood risk is out of flood risk. And so that is the, I think, fundamental point of the collaboration between Alameda, Oakland, the Port, and others that are part of the Oak Coalition to address these issues jointly and look for funding in that way. So I hope that provides some clarification.
It does, thank you.
Vice Mayor, did that answer your questions? All right. Any further clarifying questions before we go to public comment? Councilmember Daysog.
One more. So, question again about Veterans Court. So, if we surrendered Veterans Court to the water, sea level rise, the water comes in, would that generate any savings that we can then put more towards the what we contemplate along the residences of Harbor Bay? Or would that not generate savings?
Ms. Payne, you want to?
And not by savings, I don't only mean economic savings, but also
For mitigation, project
Yeah, does
mitigation
that-
having to do with marsh replenishment, we will have to do that kind of discussion with the permitting agencies, and so that will come into play, and that will really help us. It's that area. And then we're also looking at enhancing the fringe marshes along Doolittle Drive as well as Arrowhead Marsh area. So the combined and then the nature-based part over at Bay Farm Island. So, the combined is really, we're hoping it will be an easy permitting process, and it will be self-mitigated project.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other clarifying questions? Okay, let's go to public comment. Madam Clerk, how many public speakers do we have?
We have 3, so they'll all get 3 minutes. And the first 2 are in person with Ruth Abbey.
Welcome, Speaker Abby.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. I'm Ruth Abbey with Community Action for Sustainable Alameda. CASA was based, we were formed in 2008 specifically to help the city implement its local action plan for climate protection. That's the only reason that we exist. And so we're here in support. We have recently been engaged by the city on this project specifically to help with the outreach and education to our residents. This fits in very perfectly with our mission and message to work closely with the city on its mitigation and adaptation plans. And we, as you heard, we are joined in this project as community partners with some really great colleagues from Green Belt Alliance, the REAP Climate Center, the Confederated Villages of Luzon Nation, and the Soragora-Te Land Trust, Ninth Route, and Hood Planning, who are our colleagues in outreach and community planning. So we've really appreciated the partnership with the city to develop these outreach channels because it supports our mission on very closely related issues. And so we've been able to invest in our outreach strategies and our community engagement. And so we are doing this because, of course, it's a priority for CASA, it's a priority for the city, and it culminates very nicely with the city's strategic priorities to build resilience in climate change and response to sea level rise. In addition to CASA members, we have partnered with Alameda youth organizations, including Youth Power and the class of 2027 at Encinal High, and our CASA interns and their classmates at Alameda High. We have engaged their services to help us do outreach in the community. We've gone door to door in the area along the estuary and all over Bay Farm Island, spreading the message, leafleting, participating in community meetings and workshops. And we have delivered thousands of messages, outreach messages to those residents. And we felt it was really important to do that door-to-door outreach because not everyone is on social media, not everyone follows the city, gets our newsletters, or pays attention to council agenda items. So we felt it was really important to do that outreach as well. In a minute, my colleague Jessica Barrett from CASA will be telling you a few more statistics about our outreach project. So I'd like to turn it over to Jessica when appropriate.
And we'll give Ms. Jessica her own 3 minutes, but I just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to Ruth, Abby, and Casa. If I could clone this woman, I would. And, you know, community members participate in the community in all different ways. And Miss Abby, you have just set the bar so high, and I love hearing about the outreach you're doing. I so believe in that door-to-door outreach. And she was a very valuable member of our, my mayor's COVID-19 vaccination task force, and did a great job she created this sign-up list for seniors and a wait list, and we got every last ounce of the vials of vaccine that we were given into, we didn't do the vaccines, but we did all the legwork, she did. Anyway, thank you so much for being such an outstanding community member. Okay, our next speaker.
Jessica Barrett.
All right, please, welcome. And go ahead and introduce yourself and make that microphone work for you wherever you need it to be.
Good evening, I'm Jessica Barrett, also from CASA. CASA has supported the project team in helping to host 3 workshops and 4 tours, reaching over 600 people. We've tabled and flyered at over 20 local events, including farmers markets and festivals. We have created and distributed educational materials on these projects in person to local businesses and residents with the help of the local high school climate leaders. We have also done this via emails, social media posts, and local print publications. With the help of our outreach, the Oak newsletter has reached over 1,600 subscribers, and posts about Oak projects have over 16,000 views. We have made presentations to local schools, yacht clubs, homeowners associations, and special interest groups. We have also established partnerships with local businesses and arts associations like the Rising Tides Arts Initiative. Currently, we are excited to expand our partnerships to create resiliency strategies with our city school district and CERT teams. We are also soliciting more input on our survey, which is available online at oakadapt.org. That's OAACadapt.org. This survey has been open for several weeks, and it will be open until the end of the week. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Our last speaker is remote, and it's Todd Hickman.
Welcome, Speaker Hickman.
Yes, it was great to hear this presentation. It was well done. It's a great cause. I truly appreciate all the horsepower that's involved in this. I think the only true tragedy in this and the true shame is the city of Alameda misrepresenting to everyone their lead agency authority, and them once again misstating their favorite ill-used line: this project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act under CEQA Guidelines Section 15262. This project is in no way exempt from CEQA. The city cannot continue to act as a lead agency when it has no authority as the lead agency. Since 1984, the city of Alameda has never completed the process to be a proper lead agency. Every CEQA decision that the city of Alameda has made in the last 40 years is null and void. They have no regulatory authority. They have never completed the process. They have a very gross negligent history of stating that every project is exempt from CEQA when it is not. So it truly pains me to see all these people, CASA, everybody working on this great project, all this horsepower pushing forward, making this happen, and you have this city deceiving everybody. I mean, why not, City of Alameda? Why not just do this right? Why not do the proper CEQA review? Why not do everything correctly? Why not actually take the steps to become a proper lead agency? Or actually, why don't you just turn this over to a proper lead agency? I think you've committed too many crimes, too many fallacies. You've really ruined everything related to CEQA. So I don't think you ever could be a proper lead agency. So why don't you just turn this over to a proper lead agency and let's move forward with this in a proper way. I just can't fathom why the city continues to waste so much horsepower with everybody working so hard, and the city of Alameda continues to deceive and to basically undermine the cause, such a perfect cause, such a noteworthy cause, such a precious cause that's going to save the people of Alameda, save all this property, save all this damage. This is a really noteworthy cause and it needs to happen, but you need to do things right along the way. And for the city to continue to deceive everyone and to undermine the process, we're talking just a fraction of the effort for the city to do things right compared to all the effort that is being put into this. For the city to undermine all this horsepower and all this effort with their schemes and scams, it's just more scandal from the city of Alameda, and it is disgusting.
Time's up. Our next speaker.
That was our last speaker.
With that, we will close public comment on this item, 7A, and we will open the floor, the council floor, to discussion, and let's wait till everyone has spoken before we entertain a motion, but we are looking, we're being asked to endorse the concept designs for the estuary adaptation project and the Bay Farm Island adaptation project, and to accept a status update on the sub-regional adaptation plan. But Madam Clerk, we can do all that with one motion when the time
Correct.
comes. Okay, the time is not here yet, but that's just the way we're going to do it. Let's start on my left this time. And yeah, it is my left. And with Councilmember Jensen, your thoughts?
Are you looking for a motion?
No, as I mentioned, let's hear from everybody, and then if you want to make a motion, I'll call on you, but not yet. Just wanted to hear your comments, thoughts.
Well, my thoughts are that the Oakland Alameda Adaptation Committee has done a tremendous job. The concept design represents a critical step in addressing our community's most pressing environmental threat. It's really, from my perspective, and I do represent the city of Alameda on the Oakland Waste Management Authority, Stop Waste Board, and I also am a member of the Environmental Policy Committee of the California League of Cities. So I've been trying to pay attention to these issues, and it's my belief that it's only through these types of partnerships that we will be prepared to respond to sea level rise. So what I think about is Alameda, it became an island a long time ago, 120 years ago, to support our maritime industries. And we appreciate that, and we respect that. But we also have done more things in Alameda to bring people to live here. We've filled in a lot of Alameda, including Harbor Bay Isle, to bring more families and more residents here to Alameda. And those are good things. That happened 120 years ago. We dug the estuary, and 40 years ago or more was Harbor Bay Isle. And those are great things for our community. But now we have threats that we're facing or in addition to some of these things. So I think personally it's terrific to see how our unique island, our unique Alameda ecosystem here in San Francisco Bay is responding to the sea level rise challenge. And I appreciate having most of our speakers here today, and the speakers who were online, who are part of the Oakland Alameda Adaptation Committee, because I feel like with creative concept design, through community outreach, and especially and a priority of effective partnerships, we can respond. And so I'm very happy to support this. I guess I won't make a motion right now, but I will when I get a chance.
Thank you so much. All right, Vice Mayor Pryor.
I just want to say it was really great to see so many of the community partners. So that I think just filled me with a sense of like, oh, this is the right thing to do. I liked the thoughtfulness when you were discussing the sea walls versus the levees. I like the natural-based solutions. And then, we all just saw with the recent storm and the king tide, the damage it did, and that was, kind of a relatively small event, but it was significant. It made significant damage, and I think, the sooner that we address climate change and the impacts, the better. So, and thank you. It was a great presentation.
Thank you. Councilmember Bowler.
just want to thank staff and speakers for good presentations and comments, and echo what Councilmember Jensen said and Vice Mayor Pryor said. I think those were really fine comments, and it's good to see us making some good progress here in a really important area for our environment and our sustainability.
Thank you, Councilmember Daysak.
Well, thank you. I want to begin by saying, first and foremost, that I definitely support staff's recommendation. So that goes without saying. But, you know, Alameda, like every city across the world, but most especially those with shorelines, were uniquely challenged by global warming and sea level rise. And I think because of that, there are some important questions, maybe some bordering on ethical, that we really have to have a public conversation about. And I want to focus, for example, on the Veterans Court, but not just Veterans Court, but to the area that's immediately to the left, to the west of Veterans Court. Because it's like, you know, I like the idea of nature-based solutions, but there is no more nature-based solution than basically surrendering certain parts of areas to the incoming tides. Granted, you know, you do maybe want to put in some kind of marshes, et cetera. But I think that discussion really, as a community, we should be willing to engage in that kind of discussion. Most places, I think, they want to put seawalls everywhere. Go to Foster City, you know, seawalls, you know. They don't want the water to come in. But I think here in Alameda, you know, we've had robust discussions about giving up certain parts of Alameda, like D-Pave Park on Alameda Point, where we're, you know, purposely inviting the water to come over and take over certain lands. And I think we need to talk about that for the area that's adjacent to Veterans Court, because 30 or 40 years down the line, do we really contemplate spending X amount of dollars to save tennis courts? You know, so these are ethical questions that we need to begin to have right now. Because if we have these discussions right now in terms of where we might surrender certain areas, that might then generate savings where we can even devote to areas further west of this area, which are very, very residential. So I definitely support staff's recommendation and the work of CASA and all the residents who are involved. But, you know, I think we, of any cities in the Bay Area, you know, we should welcome, you know, discussions regarding not just nature-based solutions, but surrendering certain parts where it makes sense to the incoming tides. So anyways, I think that's as much as I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Daysak. I'll go last, but I'll just segue from your last point. So I would want to defer to subject matter experts as to which manner of addressing sea level rise, groundwater rise, what have you, is used. There is a book, I think I've mentioned it before from the dais, and I don't get any royalties from recommending it, but I highly recommend a book called California Against the Sea. It's now in paperback at Books Inc. I'm sure you can get it at the Alameda Free Library. But it is written by a woman who's an environmental reporter for the Los Angeles Times, and it takes you up and down the California coast and looking at different ways over the years and going back to the first people whose land this was, the Native American tribes who lived. They start with the area of the Channel Islands and talk about nature-based solutions that they use. And depending on, and again, we are coming to this situation in a built environment. If we were starting with a brand new from scratch city, we might do things differently. We might not cite a city right here along along the water, but here we are. And so the point being that there are different solutions depending on different situations, and there's a lot of considerations that go into it. And yes, some cities have dealt with more success than others, and it does come down to the votes and the directions that policymakers like us give. But I, as a policymaker who, even with my Bachelor of Science degree from UC Davis, I will always defer to the subject matter experts who have the most current level of expertise to share with us. But I can see that that's what we have working with now. And then I want to go back to the beginning and just say a huge thank you to Danielle Mueller, Gail Payne, all of you who worked on putting the Oakland Alameda Adaptation Committee, is that right? Yes, we've got a couple of similar sounding acronyms we deal with these days, together, because we are stronger together, this consortium of 30-some agencies, cities, different agencies, but we also make sure that we aren't creating unintended consequences for our neighbors. So what we might want to do in Alameda to protect our shoreline, our residential areas, what have you, might have unfortunate, untoward impacts on our neighboring communities. And that's something in whatever we're looking at, we want to make sure that we're not, that there aren't these unintended consequences. So we work together and we come up with solutions that, that work for all of us. And okay, all right. Everything's okay, right? Yeah, okay. So, so that work for all of us, and then we're stronger applying for grants and that sort of thing. But I commend you for being very forward-thinking, that other cities are scrambling to catch up to where we are. I just came back from a couple of days in Washington, D.C. with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I was mentioning to the city manager this morning that I'm part of the Climate Mayors group of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. They would love a link to our Climate Action Resiliency Plan, and I would be very proud to share it. So we'll do that. And I also had the opportunity, a group of all the California mayors were invited to have a joint meeting with our U.S. Senators, Alex Padilla and Adam Schiff. About 24 of us showed up, possibly because it was the first day of the conference and in the morning, but, you know, I thought it was important. And so we are going to have to work hard in this new administration. We're going to have to lobby our elected officials to make sure we get that funding, that these kinds of grants keep coming. The senators did remind us that, you know, states like Texas have ice storms that shut off the electricity, and so it does tend to be a bipartisan issue, so that is a good thing. And then just a thought about the pump stations. When I was looking at the renderings, while I was in D.C., I got to spend a little time with my son who lives back there in Alexandria, Virginia. There's a new metro station near where he lives, and we took a walk on kind of a snowy day, but in the linear park that runs along the Potomac and behind the metro station, and they have, of course, pump stations, and they've utilized signage so that it's along the walking path, and it's a way to educate the public. So that's always a good thing when we can tell a story and bring the community along. So keep that in mind. And then speaking of the public, and I know that the bike bridge is not a part of this project, but my ask is that of the different options that were presented, let's not do one that requires bicyclists to cross a roadway, because I have said this more than once, not a week goes by that I don't see a SIGINFO, a significant incident report that involved a bicycle vehicle pedestrian collision, a pedestrian vehicle collision. So let's keep building that safe infrastructure for pedestrians and bicyclists. But thank you so much. We talked up these projects and the funding need with our new Congresswoman Latifah Simon when we met with her, and I talked a little bit about them with the senators too, and our very capable lobbyists will follow up. So thank you again so much for all this good work. I'm ready for a motion. Councilmember Jensen.
Oh, so
sorry,
I
there's
just
more.
wanted to
Yes,
just comment a little
Councilmember
bit further.
Daysog, back to you.
Thank you. I'll be quick, too. So if you could just pull up the presentation, page 24, and then kind of zoom in on this part of, if you're able to. Are you able to zoom in? Can you? Yeah, exactly. And then just go a little bit. Yeah. So go further. Drag it further. Yeah. So we can get the Veterans Court a little bit more. Okay. Great. So I think the issue that I'm getting at is, again, I support completely staff's recommendation, but, you see that we're creating, a natural-based solution with a trail on top that's kind of protecting tennis courts. All I'm saying is, that we should have. By the way, I recognize that members of the Harbor Bay Club will be very upset to hear this. But, as council members, I think these are the type of conversations that we have to have for the future generations of Alameda as to where we're going to protect, where we're going to devote our scarce resources, and where are we going to basically surrender to sea level rise. And so that's why, as you look at, us protecting the tennis courts and even Veterans Court, I would say, I hope future generations of Alameda have conversations about, alternative ways with potential of even surrendering parts of that so that we can then take savings towards the area where the pump stations are. Again, I know Harbor Bay members will be upset, but we're talking 30, 40 years from now. Thank you.
And Council Member Daysog, I would note that perhaps the residents of Center Court on the other side of the tennis courts might be concerned too.
Well,
but-
we would draw it in such a way to protect them.
Okay, well, I'm all for deferring to the experts, but thank you for sharing that and bringing
Thank
up
you.
this illustration. Are we ready for a motion? Got a motion, Councilmember
Well,
Jensen?
I'll respond to Councilmember Daysog. And just to say, that was kind of my point when I talked about 120 years ago. I mean, we could give up the estuary and have a land border with Oakland. That estuary was dug out close to my home near the High Street Bridge. And, those are things that happened as the fill happened, as you, Tony, you and I, Councilmember Daysog and I both know, as our mayor does, and all of us here, that there were no homes there 40 years ago. There weren't tennis courts there 45 years ago. So these are things that we should address. I think that I'm going to make a motion to support this project, because this is a good step. This is what we can do in Alameda right now through partnerships, through outreach, and through intelligent design to address what we have, to respond to what we have. And what we have, unfortunately, is a beautiful community that is facing a huge threat from sea level rise. So I'm happy to make this motion.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Jensen, seconded by Councilmember Daysog, and that's for all three of the items that are included in item 7A. All right, any further comments, discussion? Seeing none, may we have no. All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you, staff and experts, consultants. Lovely job. Thank you, everyone. All right, we are moving right along to item 8, which is City Manager Communications. City Manager Jennifer Ott.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. 3 items here. They're a little longer, but just want to make sure we mention them. After more than a decade of planning and community engagement, construction of the Central Avenue Safety Improvement Project will begin this Monday, January 27th. The project is designed to enhance safety for all users and reduce vehicle delays. The full length of the project spans about 1.7 miles, but the biggest impact to the public will occur during the construction of the 3 roundabouts, which will be completed in phases to minimize disruption. Also, the East Bay Small Business Development Center started its city-sponsored business advising services in Alameda this month, so small business owners can make an appointment for free services located at the Alameda Chamber and Economic Alliance office on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays in the month from 12 to 4 p.m. And so far, the response from small businesses has been very positive, with all of the available time slots reserved so far. And then lastly, at the Transportation Commission meeting tomorrow night, members of the public can hear about and weigh in on the design updates and safety improvements proposed for Ogumba Way, McCartney Road, Maitland Drive as part of the city's 2025 pavement program. This year, the program will maintain and rehabilitate approximately 10.5 miles of roadway on the east end and Bay Farm, as well as 1.5 miles of shared use trail along Island Drive and McCartney Road.
Thank you so much. And then we go to, we don't have any oral communications, and we don't have any council referrals. So let's start with council communications. Why don't we start on the, on my left, Councilmember Jensen, what have you got?
Well, the first thing I'll mention is the most recent thing that my colleagues will probably also mention was the Martin Luther King Day event yesterday here, right here in Chambers, with Vice Mayor Pryor, Councilmember Daysog, and I, along with Alameda Unified School District Board Member Malia Hall, we joined just a terrific presentation led by Reverend Betty Williams, Reverend Betty Williams, and I'll let Councilmember Daysog add more to it, but as I understand it, this has been going on for a long time, for a number of years, but it was a really terrific way to spend the day and not, and just look forward to and be optimistic about our future. So I also am optimistic about our future because on Saturday, I was here at City Hall again for the march that began here at City Hall. I wasn't able to stay for the whole march, but I was able to see just hundreds of people here, excited, beautiful day, looking forward to being a welcoming city, to addressing and ensuring that vulnerable residents had the resources that they need, that people who may be undocumented felt safe here in Alameda, and supporting women's rights and rights of LGBTQ and all people to live safely here in Alameda. So that was terrific. And then I was able to, well, I wasn't able to march because I left there to go to the swearing in, the Oakland swearing in of our newest Congresswoman, our Congress member, Latifah Simon. Terrific, terrific event. I saw some breakdancing that I just am still wondering how did they do that. But there was, Guapole was singing. There were, of course, for outgoing Congressmember Barbara Lee was there to share information. We heard some great stories about our Congressmember Simon's time at Mills College, which was really interesting and fascinating. Both Congresswoman Lee and Attorney General Bonta were teachers of our newest congressperson. So that was a terrific event, well attended by many, many people in the community. And so I think we're optimistic. I'm optimistic. And it's a new year, and happiest of New Year's to everyone. I think that we have a lot to look forward to. I appreciate the report tonight, and that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Pryor.
I also got to go to both of those events, and I have to say, I agree 100% with everything Councilmember Jensen said. It was wonderful to see so many community members there, just to unite, to stand up for one another. My mom was in town from Los Angeles, getting some fresh air. So that was really lovely, and we were able to do the march, and then. Yesterday, was it yesterday? There's such we've been so busy. I woke up a little sad because of national politics, but it was wonderful to come here in the space to celebrate, Dr. King, obviously a great man. And so that I definitely left here feeling optimistic. And also, ready to unite and stay strong and vigilant. So
nice. Councilmember Bowler.
I'm sorry to have missed these wonderful events for Dr. King's special day. I have nothing to report.
And Councilmember Daysog.
Yes, it was a great event. I certainly appreciated all the work that Reverend Sister Betty Williams did in putting together the event, which I guess was the 48th since 1977. So I join Vice Mayor Pryor and Councilmember Jensen in expressing gratitude for her and all those who had participated in it. Also, I just want to briefly mention that the Alameda Post had a great news article on recent endeavors of the local police. So I just want to make sure to mention that for those who look at the online news, Alameda Post, and I would hope to also submit it to the city clerk as an example of the great work as reported by our local news of the police department. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Daysog. And when I opened my iPad, I'm not sure how it shows up, but there's a really nice photograph of the Alameda Police Department all lined up and very nice looking. So since our last council meeting, which I think was the 7th of January, on Thursday the 9th, I attended the Alameda Fire Department promotion ceremony. I think I saw Councilmember Jensen there too. And those are always impressive. On Friday, January the 10th, I was a speaker at Leadership Alameda, which is the program that the Alameda Chamber of Commerce puts on, teaching people about every aspect of city government. It's really impressive. And I always encourage people to run for office. And in fact, someone approached me and said, would you be interested in doing a workshop through the chamber about how to be a candidate? I'm always looking for candidates, good candidates. So I said yes. And then somewhere along the line, I flew to Washington, D.C. I think it was last Wednesday morning. I flew to Washington, D.C. I got there in the afternoon, and the next morning I met up with our federal lobbyists, and we called on our new Congresswoman, Lateefah Simon, in her Washington, D.C. office, and she told me that I was the first elected official to call on her. And Sarah Henry, our communications director, sent me with Alameda swag for everyone I called on. And so our nice Alameda coaster, she was so pleased to put it on her coffee table. There was nothing on her coffee table. This is definitely a new Congresswoman's office. And anyway, we had the two federal lobbyists and I had a great discussion with her, and I'm a prolific note taker. I had my blue Alameda notebook, but what one of the lobbyists noted afterwards is that this was the first time in all her years of lobbying that she's ever seen an elected, a congressional representative, taking notes about our projects in her notebook. And
I should say she mentioned that. Sorry to interrupt you, Madam Mayor, but the Congresswoman did mention the only city she mentioned was Alameda in her swearing in Oakland, and I think it was because of your comment.
And we called on another freshman congressman just before her meeting, because my very good friend from freshman dorm days at Davis, her nephew is Adam Gray, who was the last certified congressional race in the country, and he's from Merced area. So we were in his office, and if you've been in congressional offices, they all have the big screen, and if the things are going on the floor. Congresswoman Simon was actually speaking on the floor, but the protocol was such that we couldn't really say, could we turn up the volume? So we didn't, but she was speaking on the floor, which was great. And then so I met with another freshman congressman about another issue later in the day. That'll come back at another time. And then the next day, the conference started, but our California senators, as I mentioned earlier, had sent word that they would, rather than have individual meetings with all these different California mayors, they would meet with all of us at the Capitol Visitors Center, which is a great place you should visit when you're in D.C. So we were in a conference room. There were no more than 24 mayors, if that. And so I made sure that I was up close to the table where they were speaking, and just had such good answers to questions. Of course, Congressman Schiff is he's former Congressman Schiff is new to the Senate, but he's not new to D.C. But they were fielding questions about immigration and how to deal with that, and of course the L.A. fires, and is California really going to get aid? Is the aid going to come with strings attached? And these are just, sobering topics to deal with. And I asked the question about, my city is an island, sea level rise is an existential threat to us. I'm concerned with a certain anti-science bent that we seem to be hearing, and already environmental protections that protect us from a rising climate and all those negative things are being rolled back. What should we do? And that's when Senator Padilla told the story about, a couple years ago, do you remember Texas had ice storms in like the summer or something? It knocked out their grid. And so they managed to get money with the support of Texas into the bipartisan infrastructure bill. But he did emphasize, and I told staff this in an email I did this morning, that just remember whenever we're asking for this money from the federal government to tell that story. Success begets success, and it's hard to argue with. This money is going to protect property from flooding, businesses, homes, and all that sort of thing. So those were productive. That was a productive meeting. And then at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, sessions, great sessions, and they run concurrently, so you can never get to all you want to. But I attended sessions on how to deal with the immigration challenges, on environment, on getting more money for your transportation projects and electrification, disaster response. And we're all thinking of the LA fires, and they were mentioned so many times, but when the program was set, it was the mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, the mayor of Issaquah, New York, Issaquah, Washington, that went through a bomb cyclone. What was the other one? Anyway, every region has their crises and disasters to deal with. And I think one of the most touching moments was a luncheon speaker we had in person was the mayor of Lviv in Ukraine, and there he was speaking to us. And he started out by saying he sends his heartfelt thoughts and deepest wishes to the people of North Carolina who have suffered through the storms and the people who are suffering in the LA fires. And you just stop and put that in perspective. This man is the mayor of Lviv in Ukraine. And then he showed us this slide presentation. I'm sure there were no dry eyes in the house. Mine weren't. But a family in his town in Lviv, their home was bombed. The father was killed. The mother, she lost her leg. He showed her in a wheelchair, lost one leg from the knee down. The maybe 13-year-old girl, darling girl, she lost both legs from the knee down. And the second teenage sister, she was okay, but they spent months in rehabilitation. She had other injuries. And he said, they don't have a father, so I'm their father now. And that was in 2022. And then in 2024, in the Boston Marathon, the young girl who lost her two legs from the knee down, she ran the Boston Marathon and she finished it. And you could see behind her, people were carrying, the blue and yellow banner, the flag of Ukraine, and in their jerseys and everything. But just amazing and really uplifting. That just reminds you that there are tough times, things happen, communities come together, and that's what we are going to do. And that's my wish for our city and on up to the federal level. But it is really uplifting to be there with mayors from around the country and listening to their issues. The mayors of Phoenix and Tucson, who I've gotten to know over the years. The mayor of Denver, who I hadn't met, former high school principal, great background to be a mayor. But they were talking about, we're making plans for, what happens if there are immigration raids and kids come home and the parents aren't there. And you just think, oh my gosh. But they're working on it. We heard from Mary McCord, who's a constitutional scholar, former U.S. attorney at Georgetown Law Center now, and she's already preparing lawsuits. So this is America. We're going to do things the right way. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you, staff, for all the hard work. What do we have? Oh, yeah, we got one more item. That's right. Sorry.
11A is
Yes.
mayor's nominations for the Commission on
Yes.
Persons with Disabilities, Golf Commission, Historical Advisory Board, and Public Utilities Board.
So because I've been traveling a bit, I've only gotten through the interviews for the Historic Advisory Board. We have so many talented residents who apply. And so my two choices, who you will all meet, council, and you'll vote on at our next meeting, are Joshua Bevan, who is applying for one of the at-large positions. He has a master's in historic preservation from University of Pennsylvania and minor in geography and planning. And he has worked in the Bay Area with firms like Page and Turnbull. He is a historic preservation consultant is what he does, and just really loves Alameda, and he is one of my two choices for the at-large position. And the second one is Arthur Brito, and Arthur Brito is a landscape architect, but very interested in how landscape and yard design fits into the overall character of a neighborhood, and to try to make the landscape match the homes and the architectural style. I think it's probably near and dear to my heart that he's a UC Davis grad. Go Aggies! There's a couple of Aggies on this dais, and for those of us who attended UC Davis, he drove the London double-decker bus when he was at Davis, and that's how he met his wife, who also drove a London double-decker bus. And so you will get to meet them. But what I will say about every single candidate that Steve Buckley, who staffs this committee, everyone, when we ask, because we ask them all the same set of questions, what made you decide to apply? I just love Alameda. I have lived here. Maybe it was 2 years, maybe it was 9 years, 15 years. I just love Alameda. I don't want to live anywhere else. I want to give back to this community. So those are the folks we're putting on our boards and commissions, and I look forward to you meeting them in person when they come next at the next meeting. Okay, how am I doing, Madam Clerk? Is it?
That
That's
was the
it?
last
Okay.
thing. Yes, thank you for that.
All right, so with that, people, is this a record? It is 8:22. Oh,
Madam Mayor?
From the City Attorney's Office, Len Eslanian.
Yes,
Sorry.
very briefly, Mayor and Council, City Attorney Shin just texted me and wanted me to apologize to you all for his inability to be here tonight. His Board of Supervisors interview meeting just got out a few minutes ago, so I told him to go home, but.
And they started a lot sooner than we did, at 7 o'clock, right?
They didn't set a
Yes,
record.
I believe so. I think around 3:30,
I think it was 1:30, actually. Yeah.
even earlier.
Yeah, only because we were supposed to meet at 1:30, but that didn't happen. Yeah, thank you for that. We'll put his dinner and his dessert in the refrigerator. Or you could take it down to your floor. Because if it's left in our refrigerator, there's no telling what might happen to it. So. Anything else from anyone? With that, thank you everyone who's watching in person, watching at home, especially thank you to staff. It's 8:23 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.